but we are going to get back into it today slowly. Okay, so we're going to take it very, very easy, something that you learned maybe freshman year today, and then we'll get back into the harder stuff on Monday. So list all the factors. I go in order, 1 to the 15. So you always start with 1 and you end with the number you're looking for. So I'm going to start with 1 because 1 goes into 15. Does 2 go into 15 evenly? No, so I'm not going to write it. Does 3? Yes, so I'm going to write it. Does 4? What about 5? Yes. Perfect. 6, no. 7, no. 8, no. 9, no. 10, no. And you keep going, 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 and the last one is going to be 15. Okay, the trick for this is you start at the ends. 1 times 15 is 15. 3 times 5 is 15. Those are the only ones that we're going to have here. Like closes the gaps. All right, 30. Again, I always start with 1. And 1 times what gets me 30? 30. So I'm going to write 30 all the way at the end. So you can see it's a pretty easy process. You kind of just like close into the gap. Does 2 go into 30? Yeah. 2 times what? Or if you just do 30 divided by 2, it'll get you that answer. 15. So 15 right here. So you see how I'm going to start closing the gap. This is probably an easier trick for you. I always start at the ends and I start working my way towards the middle. Does 3 go into 30? Yeah, 3 and what number? 10. Beautiful. Does 4? No. What about 5? 5 and what number? 6. And look at that. There's nothing else to test. We've hit a point where there's nothing in between 5 and 6. Okay? So those are all of the factors of those two numbers, and that's what we're kind of getting into today. All right? So please put your names on your bell ringers. I will collect them. You get points for them every day. Make sure you have the right answer. Cool beans. All right, moving on. So we are going to do notes today. And again, the notes is review. So you've done this in the past, so hopefully it's not too difficult. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh, this is not what I want. I want this. Okay. I have Olaf over here. So factoring. Olaf is telling us that factoring, all it is finding what multiplies together to get an expression. So 3 times 5 is 15. That's what it is. Factoring is having that 3 and the 5. Those are factors. Factoring it. It's like splitting an expression into a multiplication into a simpler. Okay, so 15, if I were to split it into 2 smaller terms, it would be 3 and 5. That's what factoring is. But we will be working with variables too. So the warm-up, I want you to go ahead and do the first one. All you're doing is distributing. Okay, so I'll kind of help you out here. So go ahead and distribute that x to both terms. And there's a reason why we're doing this, and I'll just tell you in a second. I also put rules of exponents off to the side. So if you're like, what is x times x? Well, it tells you. You add the exponents. If you forgot that. So what did you get here for the first one? 3x squared plus 7x. Questions about the first one and how to distribute that in? All right, do the next one. You're multiplying it to every single term. Careful, you have a -2 on the outside. You multiply your numbers together and you multiply your variables together. So just be careful. Question? That's okay. Yeah, this one's all messed up. Go get a new one. I will fix it. See if that one works. Anyone else need a calculator? Okay. All right, raise your hand. Who's got me on this next one? Go ahead. Perfect. Any questions on how we got this? Any questions? Did you get this? Awesome. Or at least you see where you went wrong if you did. Okay. Now this one's a little tricky, so I'm going to do this one with you. Again, you always multiply your numbers and then each different letter. So if you notice, I have an x and a y, so you just have to be a little careful here. 5 times 1, because there's only a 1 here, is what? 5. x times x is x squared. And there's no y for the y to multiply to, so I just bring it with me. Okay? That's why a lot of people will attach the y's and the x's together, but they're separate. All right, then we're going to do the same thing. 5 times negative 2. Beautiful. And then, again, the x. There's no x to multiply, so I'm just going to bring it with it. And then I have a y times a y. Y squared. And that's it. So why did I have you do this as a warm-up? This is the reverse of factoring. So this is what factoring is. So watch really quick. I'm going to give you this. You have to get to this. Distributing is the reverse of factoring. So we're going to start here, and you would have to get to this endpoint here. That's what factoring is. It's the reverse. Okay? Alrighty here. Just wanted to make sure I was recording. All right. So something I want you to get your highlighters. You need to get 2 highlighters out. So if you guys can, just be nice and go get them. Someone in your group, just be a kind soul and go get them. You do need 2 greatest common factors. A factor, again, is the numbers or variables that you multiply, that were multiplied together to create a term. So again, 3 times 5 is 15. You multiply them together to get a term. Then we look for the biggest number that can divide evenly into each term. This is the greatest common factor. You've done GCFs in the past. We're going to look for the largest amount of variables that we can take out of each term. I want you to highlight, it's going to be your smallest exponent. So if I give you x squared and x cubed, the largest one that you can take out is x squared. Some terms might have no factors in common. That's definitely possible, like 3 and 5. They don't have anything that I can take out. They don't have anything in common. When you decide what the GCF is, you want to divide each term by that GCF and pull it on the outside of the parentheses. So these are kind of just like steps on how to factor out a common factor. Okay? All right, so let's do some practice. This is kind of what you did on the bell ringer. So same thing. Let's start listing out the factors. What 2 numbers, well, let's start with 1. 1 and what get me 36? 36. So I kind of leave a big space here. Does 2 go into 36? Yes, so 2 and what number? The trick is you just do 36 divided by 2. And what do you get? 18. Perfect. Okay? Does 3 go into 36? Yes. 3 and what number? Anyone? Go ahead. 12. Again, how are we getting this number? If you have your calculator, you should be just doing 36 divided by 3. Okay. Does 4 go in? So try it. 36 divided by 4. Does 4 go in there? Good. 4 and 9. 5 doesn't. Does 6? Yeah, it's 6 and 6. So there we go. We closed our gap. There's no other numbers that we can text. Let's do 24 now. 1 and 24. Does 2 go into 24? Yes. And what number? 12. Awesome. What about 3? 8. Good. 3 and 8. If you do 24 divided by 3, you're going to get 8. What about 4?
6.
Good. 4 and 6. And then we close our gap because 5 does not go into 24. Greatest common factor is you're just going to circle the highest number you see. What's the highest number you see that's common between these two? 6. Good. 12. There you go. Sorry. All right, so either with a highlighter or with your pen, go ahead and circle the 12 because that's the greatest common factor. And we're going to go ahead and just write that up on top. So 12 is our GCF. All right, number 2. This one, you should love variables when we're doing GCF. It's the easiest thing ever. It's the smallest exponent you see. So how many W's can I factor, what's the greatest common factor, what's the smallest exponent you see? I don't even see a 2 as an exponent there. 5. So your greatest common factor, like we said up here where we highlighted it, is the smallest exponent. And I'm going to just write it out so you can see why that is. W to the 5th really is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then W to the 7th is 7 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And you would highlight all the ones you have in common, and there was 5 of them. So why write all those out when I told you the trick? Yes.
I thought it was you had to cross them out.
Well, you can cross them out, but there's still 5 W's that you crossed out. Yep. Okay. Awesome. So the greatest common factor between those two is W to the 5th. So let's do one with both numbers now. I always do my variables first. How many x's do you think? Good. You always use your smallest exponent. So right away, your variables are pretty quick. You just got to find it. So x squared is the greatest common factor you can pull out. What about 2 and 8? Does anyone know off the top of their head?
4.
Can 2 be divided by 4?
Yeah.
That's 1/2. That's a weird number. So it is 2, and here's why. I'm going to try to see if you guys can start doing it without listing it, but let's start listing it just so you can see it at first. I have 1 and 8, and I have 2 and 4. Look, that is the one that's in common. I always check to see if one of these, the smallest one, can go into the other. So 2 can go into 8, or 8 divided by 2 is a factor here. Okay, so let's do it again. Let's just talk about the letters first. It's what I do first. It's the easiest. How many Y's can I pull out?
4.
Good. It's the smallest. So I'm going to go ahead and circle or highlight.
3.
Okay. Now you can start writing these out. I have 9 and 12. It doesn't matter which one you do first. 1 and 9. And then 3 is the only thing else that goes in there. 12, I have 1 and 12. Does 2 go into 12? Yep, 2 in what number? 6. And then what? 3 in what number? 4. So look at that. Again, with a highlighter or whatever you want us to circle, you can. The number I'm going to pull out is 3. So my greatest common factor is 3y to the 4th. And that's just like a stepping stone into where you need to be going, which is the next page. So when you're done, please flip. Alrighty, gonna challenge you guys. I know you're ready for it. Alright, so now I'm gonna give you 2 variables, because that's definitely gonna happen. So I have 24 and 32. I'm gonna do my numbers here. So 24, 32. I have 1 and 24. Does 2 go into 24? Yeah, 2 in what number? 12, perfect. Does 3 go into 24? 3 in what number? 3 times what gets me 24? 8. Does 4 go into 24? 4 in what number? 6. And then 5 doesn't, so we close the gap. I always I don't like to start at 1 and just keep going, because then it takes you too long. If you start in the outsides and work your way in, it's a lot faster. So 32, I have 1 and 32. Does 2 go into 32? What is that factor? 16, beautiful. Does 3 go into 32? No, you get a decimal, so that is not true. What about 4? 4 in what number? Beautiful. Does 5? No. Does 6? 6 in what number? It doesn't. If you were to do 32 divided by 6, you're going to get a decimal, so that's not a factor. Okay, so we're actually done. That's all we can do. So what is, yes?
So we go you go from out to the middle.
Until you can't go anymore.
So
know that, you can stop. Yeah, if you are that person that right away can figure that out, I am not going to cause more work on you. Like, even if you knew, you don't have to list this out. It just depends on who you are. Me personally, I could have just told you it was 8 because I know my multiplication tables. That's why we've been doing extra math for so long. But if you don't, this is how you do it. I'm showing you a way to do it without. Okay? So yes, Parker was right. 8 is the highest number that I can pull out. Now let's talk about our variables. They're different. So my x's. Which one, how many x's could I factor out? Remember, it's the smallest exponent. Good, 1 right here. It's always the smallest exponent you see. Now look at my y's here in green. 2, good. The smallest one I see is 2. Exponents are the best, variables are the best because they're the easiest. All right, let's do it again. I have 10 and 20. Could anyone right away tell me what my greatest common factor is going to be? 10, very good. So 2 is, yes, 2 goes into both of them, but I always check to see. I know 10 is going to go into 20, and 10 is going to be the highest number possible. So 10, awesome. Now look at my A's, one at a time. How many A's would I be able to factor out? What'd you say? I don't see a 2. 1, there you go. It's always the smallest exponent you see. Now look at your b's. I have a b to the first power, b to the fourth. What's the smallest? 1. So b to the 1. And that's it. You're looking for a GCF in order to factor. So this is just the pre. This isn't even factoring yet. We're getting into factoring, which is like coming up right now. Okay. This might not seem like a review, but it is review from last year. This whole entire day. Okay, here we go. It says, in this lesson, you will be exploring different methods to factor. We're going to be taking like 7 days on factoring because I want to take it slow, and I feel like Ms. Hurd and I both feel that factoring is probably one of the biggest things that you need to take away from, yes, 7 days. If you can't factor, you can't do Chapter 9, you can't do Chapter 7, you can't do Chapter 10, and that's why we're spending 7 days on it. Okay, we will be having a factoring quiz because it's that important. And I know it sucks, I get it. Math isn't the best subject in the world for some of you, but you have to have it to graduate. All right, so let's go ahead. We first need to find our GCF. Am I going to pull out any x's? Do they have any x's in common? No, they don't. Now let's look at our numbers. What's the highest number that can go into 2 and 12? 1 can go into it, but I heard 2 as well. So your first step is always to find your GCF. 2 is the only thing that can go into both of these evenly. All right, so then your second step is going to be to divide both of them by that GCF. And these steps are listed on that first page. We're going to take that GCF and write it on the outside. What is 2 divided by 2? Careful. 1. So 1x. What is 12 divided by 2? 6. And you're done. This is your final answer. You're just factoring out. That's what factoring is. It's the reverse. So if you remember, if I were to go back to the very front here, we're doing exactly what this was right here on this problem. We went from this to this. We went backwards. That's factoring. Reverse distributing. Okay. 2 is probably one of the toughy ones because you got to figure out what the GCF is. Will I have any variables that I can pull out? No, because only one of them has an R. So my GCF is only going to consist of numbers. I want you to take a second and see if you can find the highest number that goes into 81 and 48. So what is the greatest common factor of 81 and 48? It's just like what we were doing up here. But I want you to, it's pausing on me. There we go. It's just this. So I want you to do it now. Okay.
81 be 9.
So 81, yes, 9 goes in there, but 9 does not go into 48. So you're looking for one that goes into both. Okay. 4 does not go into 81. You might need to list them out. Got to list them out. 6 does not go into 81. So if you're getting stuck, let's go ahead and list them out. 81 and 48. I have 1 and 81. 2 doesn't go in there because it's not even. Does 3? Check it out. 81 divided by 3. Does that work? Yeah. And what number did you get when you did that? 27. Okay? We're almost done already. 4 doesn't go in there. 5 doesn't go in there. Try 6. Does 6 go in there? No. Okay, does 7? No. Does 9? Yes. 81 divided by 9 is 9. And that closes it. That closes it. It's okay. This stuff's hard. I'm not saying it's easy.
It would be 27.
Hold on. Hold on. 27 doesn't go into 48. All right, so again, 1, 48. Does 2 go into 48? Yes. 2 in what number? 2 in what number?
27.
It's 24. You said 27. It's not 27. Okay. 3 does not go in. Does 4?
Yes.
Wait, does 3 go into 48? Yes, it does. I almost skipped it. 3 in what number? 16. Okay, keep going. 4 in what number? 4 and 12. I'm running out of room here. Crap. 4 and 12. What about 6? 6 in what number? 6 and 8. Sorry, I'm running out of room. And that's it. What about 7? It doesn't. So what is the greatest common factor you see? There's only one number that's common. 3 right here. 20. Stop saying more time. You're confusing people. So my GCF right now is only a 3. Sometimes the hardest part is just figuring out the 3. Okay? And that's okay. So again, our first step is we're going to divide each by 3 and write it on the outside of our parentheses. What is 81 divided by 3? 27, you're right. Bring down your plus sign. What's 48 divided by 3? 16, and you're done. The hardest part is finding your GCF. Everything else should be okay. Let's do it again. Number 3. All we have is 1 and 3. They're both prime. So I can't pull out a number. What about my x's? How many x's are common? 1. You remember it's always the lowest. So please put just x on the outside. I told you variables will be easier. Usually it's the opposite, but so we're going to divide each one by x, and I get x on the outside. What's left? If you get stuck, I put rules of exponent on the side. X squared divided by x is x. Awesome. It's basically saying I have 2 x's and I crossed off 1. Now I only have 1. What is negative 3x divided by x? 3. Negative 3. Say it again and you're out of here. I'm done. Okay? I'm starting to get annoyed. Okay. Again, cross it out. Negative 3. Perfect. And we're done. Again, I try to do my best and give you as much as that I can. I try to be nice. I haven't given anyone really any issues. Haven't given you any tardies. Haven't given you any of this. But when you start pushing me, I get a little mad. Okay. Here we go. GCF. Especially because we're starting to get into some pretty tough stuff, and you really need to focus at this point on. From this point on, Math 3 is really taking force, where Math 3 is jumping from Math 2. So you got to really pay attention. 4 and 10. Does anyone know what's the highest number that can go into both of these? What is the highest number that you can divide both of these by? 2. Perfect. I'm going to start doing them so we don't have to write them all out. Okay, 4 can't go into 10, so we can't use 4. Now, what about the y's? How many y's can we take out? Higher than that. 2. Good. Remember, it's always the lowest exponent. All right, here we go. Now we just take that 2y squared and write on the outside, and we divide each one by 2y squared. What is 4y cubed divided by 2y squared?
That's, doing four first.
Yep, you can do 4 first. Well, what's 4 divided by 2? 2. And then what's y cubed divided by y squared? You have 3 y's, and you crossed off 2 of them, so how many do you have left? 1. It's okay. And if you ever get stuck, maybe go back and highlight this. I put the rules of exponents on there just in case you needed them. The trick is you subtract them. All right, let's do it again. Negative 10 divided by a positive 2. Negative 5. What happens to the y squareds? They crossed out, so I'm done. Y squared divided by y squared is 1. And the great way to check your answers, it's super cool. Like if you really want to know, like, did I do this right? You can distribute and you should get the same answer, right? 2y squared times 2y is 4y cubed. 2y squared times negative 5 is negative 10y squared. Crazy. That's what factoring is. All right, do 5. I want you to work with your group or do what you need to do. First, you need to find your GCF. You're not going to have a letter. You should only have a number. This is where extra math is really coming into play right now. I always test the number first. Hugo, what was the GCF? 9. So I'm going to write 9 all the way on the outside and divide each and every term by 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. So you can write 1 or you don't have to, and our y comes down. What is 27 divided by 9? 3, and you're done. We're just going to finish this page today, so just bear with me. Don't want to throw too much at you. Okay. This one's a little tougher because now I threw 3 at you. 3 of them. So here we go. Start with our GCF. Let's knock out the variables first. Let's look at our x's. How many x's can I factor out? Or what's the greatest common factor? 1. Very good. Because it's the lowest one. I have cubed, I have squared, and I have the first power. You can't pull out. A lot of you would say, okay, it's squared or it's cubed. X divided by x cubed, you can't do that. You can't factor that out. So I'm going to go ahead and write x. Now let's talk about our numbers. Does anyone know what number I can pull out? Yes. 3. Very good. 3 is the highest number that can go into all 3 of these. And you could list them all out. But again, I told you, the trick is always test your lowest number. 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 3 divided by 36 is 12. 3 divided by 12 divided by 3 is 4. So it worked. So again, I'm going to divide each one by 3x. So here we go. And write on the outside of my parentheses. All of these steps are listed on the first page if you ever get stuck on your homework. What is 3 divided by 3? 1x squared. Good. Let everyone process. Let everyone process. This stuff's getting tough, so give everyone a second just to think. Okay? So breathe. 36, negative 36 divided by 3. Negative 12. Perfect. And then x squared divided by x is x. 12x divided by 3x. 4. The x's canceled. They're gone. So we're done. Do you remember even just a tad doing this last year? Yeah. You should. And it is the hardest topic in math. Factoring is the hardest topic in math. You either get it or you don't. It's really hard to have people that are in the middle. And we see it in the other classes too. It's not just you guys. It's across the board. Factoring is hard. All right, let's do it again. We're almost done. Greatest common factor. Good, 4x. The highest number that can go into both of these is 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 36 divided by 4 is 9. So 4 can go into both. X is the lowest exponent I see. So let's go ahead and write 4x on the outside. So 1x squared plus what? Beautiful. There you go. So it might have been like, what the heck is she doing earlier, but now it's starting to click, I feel, for most of you. So here's a little bit of a different kind of format one. If you see they both have a negative, you want to pull them out. So we're going to pull out a negative. What's the highest number that can go into 7 and 14? 7. Good. And I said you're always going to pull out a negative if they're both negative. So 7 divided by 7 is 1, and 14 divided by 7 is 2, and that's why it's the highest number. Negative 7x, perfect. Now again, we're going to write that on the outside of our parentheses always and divide each one by negative 7x. Negative 7 divided by negative 7 is 1. Negative divided by negative is a positive. Good. X to the 4th divided by x is x cubed. Careful. Negative 14 divided by negative 7. Positive 2. Very good. And we're done. We got one more, and then I'm giving you your homework, and you can work on it before you leave. I want to make sure that you leave here with only like 2 problems. I don't usually give homework on Fridays, but we have to. We have to keep moving on. It's only 8 problems, and you should be able to finish 4 before you leave. All right, your GCF. Let's talk about the number. What number goes into all 3 of these? 2. Very good. 8 does not go into 2. 2 divided by 8 is like 1/4, which is 0.75. 2m squared. I heard it. Because squared is the lowest exponent I see. So that's the lowest. So again, I'm going to write 2m squared on the outside and divide each one by 2m squared. All right, who wants to for a prize? Just tell me what I'm going to get here. Go ahead, Dylan.
So you're going to do 2m squared, and then you're going to do 2 divided by 2,
Uh-huh.
and you'll get 1x cubed, and then
M
or m,
to the what?
and x
4 divided by 4 minus 2. So you have 4 m's, and you crossed off 2 of them. So you have how many left? 4, and you crossed off 2. 2. It's okay. Keep going. I want you to keep going.
And then I did 18 divided by 2.
Which is
9. X
M. Yes.
or m.
I got you. I know what you mean.
And then I 14.
Beautiful. And you're done. Okay. So the trick is with the exponents if you're getting stuck. I have 4 m's. 4. Like put your hands out there if you get stuck. I'm crossing off 2 of them. I have 2 left. That's how it works. Okay. Awesome. Awesome job today.